Welcome back to Smart Finance. This channel is usually about retirement income and Social Security for everyone, but today's video is specifically for public employees, teachers, firefighters, police officers, state and local government workers, anyone retiring at a pension. Because here's the thing. Almost all the retirement advice out there is written for someone with a 401k and nothing else, a private sector employee relying entirely on their own savings. It was never built for someone with a pension. There are 7 specific advantages that come with working in the public sector that most people in your position don't know about. Some of these are brand new. Some are rule changes nobody sent you a memo about. And at least one of them, if it applies to you, could be worth real money every single month for the rest of your life. Let's get into it. The first one is the biggest. If you're a public employee with a pension and you've been told your Social Security would be cut because of it, that rule is gone now. For decades, 2 provisions, the windfall elimination provision and the government pension offset, reduced Social Security benefits for teachers, firefighters, police officers, and other public employees whose pension came from a job that didn't pay into Social Security. A lot of people plan their entire retirement around a smaller check or no survivor check at all. That's changed. Both provisions have been repealed. According to the Congressional Budget Office, people affected by the old rule have seen their monthly Social Security increase by about $360 a month on average. Surviving spouses who'd lost their benefit entirely under the old rule have seen even larger increases in the $700 to nearly $1,200 a month range. This depends on your specific work history and pension, so if this is the first time you're hearing about it, it's worth checking whether it applies to you. Second, you've probably heard of the 4% rule. Withdraw 4% of your portfolio each year and it should last 30 years. But that rule was built for someone whose portfolio is their only source of income. It's generic advice for the average person, not necessarily for you. If your pension already covers a portion of your monthly expenses, your portfolio isn't holding up your retirement, it's there for the extras, travel, helping the kids, the things you actually want to do. That changes the question entirely. It's no longer how much can I withdraw to survive. It's how much can I actually spend to enjoy this. 2 very different plans, worth running the numbers on for your specific situation rather than borrowing someone else's rule. Third, and I want every couple to hear this one together. When you retire with a pension, you typically make one decision one time that you can't undo, and it determines whether your spouse keeps any of that pension income after you're gone. It's called the survivor election. You usually choose between a bigger monthly check that only pays for your lifetime or a smaller check that continues for your spouse's lifetime too. Here's a hypothetical just to make it concrete. Call her Linda. Linda's husband picked the bigger check when he retired because it looked better on paper. For years it was. Then he passed away, and that pension check simply stopped. No transition, no partial benefit, gone. That's the widow's penalty in its sharpest form, and it's worth a real conversation with your spouse before you make that choice. Fourth, this one is specific to a lot of public employees. If you have a 457 plan, you can withdraw from it penalty-free at any age once you leave your job. Not 59 and a half like a 401k or 403b. Any age. If you're a diligent saver who's thought about retiring at 55 or 57, that's real flexibility sitting in an account you may not have thought about that way. Fifth, And this is about what that flexibility is actually for. For a lot of pension holders, the biggest retirement risk might not be running out of money. It might be the opposite, working past the point your numbers actually require. Here's math. Nobody runs. Research using Medicare survey data found that at 65, someone with no physical limitations has an active life expectancy of about 14 years. That's not 14 years of simply being alive. It's 14 years of being able to do the things retirement is supposed to be for. Travel, hike, get down on the floor and play with your grandkids without needing a minute to get back up. Every extra year you work past the point where your pension and Social Security already cover your bills isn't adding to that number. It's subtracting from it. Someone whose retirement depends entirely on a 401k riding out a bad market has a real financial reason to keep working a little longer. If your numbers already work, you may not have that same reason. You might just be trading a year of your healthiest years for a safety margin you don't actually need. If your numbers work, that's worth knowing now, not at 68 when your health has already started to decline. Sixth, this one isn't about you, it's about your kids. If most of what you've saved is in a pre-tax account, a 403b, a 457, a 401k, a traditional IRA, there's a tax bill coming that most people don't see until it's too late. Money in a pre-tax account gets taxed as income whenever it comes out. If you pass that account to your kids, current law generally requires them to empty it within 10 years, and every dollar they withdraw is taxed at their rate. Often during their highest earning years, a hypothetical, call him David. David leaves $400,000 in a 403b to his daughter. She's not getting $400,000, she's getting $400,000 of taxable income stacked on top of her own paycheck over a decade. That's what it means to have all your eggs in one basket. This depends on where your money is held, but it's worth knowing the mechanism exists before your kids are the ones dealing with it. Seventh and last, if you've spent 30 years living below your means to build this, don't be surprised if it's hard to actually spend it. Talking to diligent savers and public employees, this is the most common thing I see. The same habits that built the wealth, careful, disciplined, never wasteful, are the exact habits that make it feel wrong to enjoy the money once you're retired. Same trait, different reason. Nobody warns you about that switch from saving to spending. It's hard to just flip it. Here's the part that catches people off guard. The choice was never really between spending it and saving it for later. Money you don't spend doesn't just sit there waiting for some perfect moment that finally feels safe enough. It usually just ends up going to your kids if you don't have a specific goal for it. Some people do want to leave a legacy, and that's a valid goal, but enjoying your own time matters too. And if that money is sitting in a pre-tax account, you already know what that tax bill could look like for your kids. So the real question isn't, can I afford to spend this? If your numbers work, you already know you can. The real question is whether you'll actually let yourself. The goal was never to die with the biggest possible balance. It was to give, gift, or spend it, to actually do what you want, when you want, with who you want. If your numbers support it, spending it isn't reckless. It's the plan working exactly the way it was supposed to. That's 7 things working in your favor as a public employee that almost no one's going to tell you about. A pension is a great asset in retirement. It just makes retirement different, and it needs its own careful planning. So when you're running the numbers or having someone run them for you, make sure they actually understand how retirement works for a public employee. If this was useful, subscribe. I put out videos like this regularly for public employees navigating exactly these questions. And if you know someone with a pension who needs to hear this, send it their way. Thanks for watching.